Hello everyone, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and if you're watching this video after the end of the world, remember, you can make a rudimentary water filter out of a chunk of certain kinds of wood. The link should be right there. Alright, so in today's video, we're doing a video response to my buddy over at Palmetto Prepared and his video on 5 things that help you sleep better at night. Now I'm going to expand this and do 10 things that help me sleep better at night. My first 5 are going to be physical, actual preps that you can have too, just by spending a little bit of money just through regular prep work. The other 5 are states of mind. They're things that need to be obtained, and they're not exactly preps like a lot of people come click on a video like this looking for. Both are valid, but I'm going to do 5 and 5. So if you're here for 5 items that can help you sleep better at night, just simple preps, here we go. Number 1, food. I have a fair stack of food. Between me and my family also cares about food storage. We have enough food to last us through multiple different kinds of emergencies. Now this is quite a feat for us. We've got 5 people in the household, and it takes quite a while to get ahead of yourself and have that kind of food stored up, especially if you're also eating what you store like we do. So it just takes incremental gains, but once you have a few months at least of food stored up, that is a huge bit of a peace of mind to have for you and your family. So you don't have to worry if suddenly there's no food on the shelves, food prices double, or you just can't find something. You've got it already. Huge peace of mind, like I said. Number 2, water. Same thing. Now in my area, water is really abundant. There's flowing water everywhere. There are wells nearby. I don't have one nearby, or myself, I mean, but I have plenty of friends nearby who have wells. They're just pretty common here because while the area is technically suburban, there's no urban area nearby. It's just rural bourbon, if you will. So there's wells in every direction. Water's really abundant. Like I said, there's lakes and flowing water everywhere, and yet I still have hundreds of gallons stored up in my garage. A lot of people don't have that much, even if they're not in a water abundant area, and it just boggles my mind. Whether or not you've got water readily available to you, unless it's in a well or already in a clean source near you, that's going to take effort to obtain and purify in a grid down situation where already everything is harder and takes longer, and you've got other things that you want to be doing. I like knowing that I've got water in buckets that I can probably just drink straight or use with minimal purification effort. So lots of food to get me by through an emergency, lots of water. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to expend extra effort for it. It's there. Helps me sleep at night. Number 3, tools. Now I wanted to mention guns and other things, but I'm just going to roll that into tools. Now, I like guns a lot, but I don't make it a big part of what I talk about here on the prepping channel because plenty of other people cover that. But suffice it to say, I believe that guns are extremely valuable tools, and I'll share here that the 2 that help me sleep best at night are the one that I carry, my .357 revolver, which is just a very simple, reliable revolver. It is one of the ones that I highly suggest to just about everybody because it can be used in a .38 or a .357 for both genders to be comfortable with. Reliable, easy to carry, and usually cheaper than a lot of other options. And my shotgun. Shotguns are hands down almost always agreed upon to be the single most reliable first go-to weapon that a person should purchase if they have no other long rifle. You can debate that down below, you're more than welcome to, but multiple live streams and video polls and general agreement disagree with you. Shotguns and revolvers are what help me sleep at night. And moving on from guns, you've got shovels, axes, basic gardening implements, all the things that a person needs to get things done, especially when the grid is down. So hand tools, basic implements, and the things that a person needs to run a household help me sleep at night. My family has a lot of those. We've been accruing them for generations. Sometimes I forget that some people, some households have very few tools. Now I've been there when I was a young guy living on my own, but both between living with my family and having put some time and money into accruing tools, it gives me a high sense of peace knowing that if something needs done, I probably have the things to help me get it done. Now, the next one It's a little bit of an oddball, but it is miscellaneous preps. Now, a lot of people just want to focus on stacking food, silver, guns, and a few basic things and think that that's going to cover them through the majority of situations. And while that's true, those are very basic umbrella preps that help you cover the majority of situations that you might face. Every situation is going to have minute, nuanced things that you're going to find yourself needing, and you're never going to be prepared for those if you're not preparing for oddball things. Now, this might be pencils, this might be razors, might be strange medications that you get your hands on over the counter or otherwise. Whatever it is, I do like to store things. I do like to look at things that are on sale, things that I happen to come across whenever I'm looking across the internet or in stores, and ask myself, what situations might that be valuable in to me or another person, and is it worth me storing that now? And I can often find things that might be outside the box that people might not normally think of as preps or valuable things to store just in case, and I often do see potential value in them. Now, you can definitely go off into the weeds with this and spend a lot of money on things that you will never need, but I do believe that there are a lot of situations where you can find yourself wishing that you had had something which you might have had the foresight to store if you hadn't just been so focused on your 4 basic prep groups. So miscellaneous things, just whatever that might be, whether that's tobacco to barter with or bullets that you don't necessarily need yourself but you know are popular, I consider miscellaneous preps to be the things that you don't necessarily think are your mainline preps, but things that you're going to pigeonhole and set aside for just in case. Now, my last one for this my basic preps that you're able to obtain yourself is mobility. Now, this is an oddball one that maybe not a lot of people talk about, but my family has often rented the places that we lived. We've owned a couple of houses, but the 2008 market recession sort of messed with that. Suffice it to say that we're pretty used to moving every few years, whether that's every 4 or 10 years. We're used to the idea that eventually we're going to need to pack this stuff up and move it. And it took me a while to realize that there's a difference between that mindset and the mindset of somebody who has always been ingrained in the place that they live. Now, this may seem like a basic thing, but there are plenty of situations where you may need to move, even if that means moving away from your ancestral home. Now, a lot of us haven't been living anywhere for more than just a few generations here, but we've become quite attached to the places that we live. But for those of us who've been forced to move a lot throughout our lives, there is a mental readiness to do it again. And having your things set up in such a way that that won't be so difficult as if they were simply scattered all across a property, say, that can help you in a few different situations. And knowing where your things are is just something that is extremely valuable. And even whenever I eventually do settle down roots and own land, I plan to roll this into that future mindset so that I'm always able to pick up roots and move if I need to. And this is something that I think a lot of preppers try to shy away from, especially because while homesteading is the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do here, meteors and nuclear wars and things like that just don't care about how much you want to stay where you're at. So I believe that I will always try to keep the ability to at least get my core preps and move if I need to without it being a major detriment because I've just diffused them into where I'm sitting at. So my basic 5 preps that I think everybody can obtain, which help me sleep at night, are the food that I have stored up to help me get through a crisis, the water that I have stored up for the same purposes, the tools that I have to help me do the things that I need to do, all the miscellaneous things that I put away for just in case situations that I never get blindsided by strange things that I just could have taken care of if I'd thought of it. And also the fact that I can react to situations that force me to pick up and run pretty quickly. Even if I can come back, most of my food is in buckets that can move along, and most of my family knows what they need and where it is if they need to pick up and go in a somewhat shorter time frame than a lot of people are used to. So if you're just looking for the 5 things that are going to help you maybe have a little bit of sleep at night, things that you can work on today. Those are my 5. Now, some 5 somewhat more esoteric ideas. First is my health. Now, this isn't esoteric at all, but it's a little harder for someone to just go and obtain, and I realize that. I'm pretty lucky that I'm young and healthy and that I'm able to use that in a lot of situations. And it's not necessarily something that I can just say, hey, go buy some health, but it is definitely something that everybody can work towards. But I put it in these 5 because I realize that it doesn't necessarily help you for me to say that my health is something that helps me sleep at night. But if you want something that you can work towards, that is going to give you the reassurance of knowing that you can do what you can for yourself to give yourself the edge in all future situations, then I would definitely say that knowing that you're keeping yourself healthy is a huge source of peace of mind. So the third thing that helps me sleep at night on my abstract concepts list is my skill set. Now, I'm sort of a jack of many trades, master of none kind of person. I don't have any higher education or official certification yet, but that's something that I'm happy to be changing here in the near future. But I do have advanced experience in multiple practical trades which exist almost anywhere that I could find myself under most circumstances that I might find myself in, which allow me to stand head and shoulders above most applicants in the jobs that I might want to go and apply myself towards. And I'm always trying to further my ability to be of value to anybody that I might try to trade my skill set with. Now, it disappoints me that a lot of people have spent all their life focusing on just one skill set and don't spend any time finding some other trade or craft or thing that they can market to somebody else if their pigeonholed profession doesn't end up paying them in some future situation. And one of my greatest sources of comfort is knowing that I can lose a job and find a job very quickly, and always have, because I have marketable skills where I'm going to find myself trying to market them. So number 4 on this list here is going to be my finances, and that rolls into what I was just talking about. I don't have any debt and I don't have any large payments, so I can go without a job for a period of time. Between that and my social net, I'm able to have job loss not be a total SHTF situation for me. And that is not something that a lot of people can say. They have so many finances, so many bills, so many things that they have to pay for, even if they're not in debt, let alone if they have debt payments to make, that a job loss is one of the worst things that can happen to them. Now, nobody wants to go without income, but I know that I'm able to get by because between how much I make and how little I need when it really comes down to it, I don't have outstanding expenses that are going to ruin my life if I have a hiccup in my financial income. So knowing that I'm debt-free and maybe not rich, but definitely not underwater, is one of my huge sources of comfort. Knowing that I'm at least able to work forward from here without this huge mountain to climb up. Now, my last bit is something that I just hinted at again, my community. Now, I've never hidden that I live with my family. I know, common millennial. But we have all had the ability to live on our own at different times and found that there are simply no better roommates than the people you grew up with. So myself, 2 of my sisters, minus the one that's married, and both of my parents live in our original nuclear family. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I really like it any other way. There's nothing better than having a group of responsible, financially positive adults working together, paying together, and helping each other, so that anytime somebody has some gap in their finances or their car breaks down or whatever, they've got people that they know that they can rely on. There's no oddball that's going to come out of left field. They suddenly don't like you anymore. You have people you can rely on. And this extends beyond just my family to my neighbors, my area. I know that the demographic of my area is overwhelmingly people who have grown up here in a rural farming or homesteading lifestyle. I can talk to people about the things that we talk to about here without looking crazy, because everybody has that conspiracy theorist cousin. Even if I'm not talking about conspiracy theories, everybody has at least 2 or 3 homesteading cousins. So I can have that kind of conversation almost all day long with almost anyone I see. And when the grid goes down, almost every one of those people are people who have a background in that. And that's very different than living in an area where no one ever thinks of it or has ever heard of it. And extending from that, I have a lot of friends who do this kind of stuff. I have a list of other channels who live in my area who I know personally and am personal friends with. And this is not necessarily the kind of thing that you can just go out and gain overnight, but I can guarantee that at least a small percentage of the people in your area are your fellow YouTube prepper audience. So you can go out there and find them and have this community of people who are some form of social safety net for you. And that is one of the biggest things that can help you be comfortable at night, is knowing that there are people in your area with common interests, common goals at heart, so that under the majority of situations, you can find somebody to have community with. So anyways, I hope that's been interesting. Thank you for hanging around. That's been my 5 physical preps that help me sleep at night that you can do for yourself, and 5 more that help me sleep at night, which can be obtained through eventual processes, I guess. Anyways, hope that's been interesting. Love to see VRs from you guys on the topic. Definitely check out Anthony over at Palmetto Prepared and his rudimentary phylum wood filter for water. Everybody stay safe out there.